Hello everyone, welcome to this old TJ project of the day. If you look closely, you can see bits of belt that are now wrapped around my clutch fan shaft, and those did in fact come from my fan belt. So you can see it's missing a fair bit, at least probably a couple from the inside here. No idea how many miles are on this belt, but it's a pretty straightforward job to change. So we're getting ready to knock it out here in a hurry. The part that I am using to replace mine, it is a Gates K060882. So it's the 27/32 by 89.5 inch long because I have air conditioning. So, easy tip when changing this, the only tool you really need, some type of 1/2 inch drive. I'm using actually a breaker bar, and if you look closely on the front of the tensioner, there is actually a 1/2 inch drive port. You put this in, you can easily release the tension on the belt, slip it out from under the idler, and away you go. So I'm gonna pull this one on out, give a quick inspection of everything under here, make sure there's nothing obvious that sliced my last belt, and if not, get the next one routed through here. So on further inspection, if you look carefully here, you will see what should have been the automatic tensioner pulley is now nothing of the sorts. It's like hung up, burned up. So it looks like that part gave it up, and when it did, took my fan belt out with it. So not as straightforward a replacement, but since I'm going to be doing that pulley as well, I may go ahead and replace the other idler while I am in here and get them both at once. So looks like another trip to the parts store and an order in progress, and I will update this once I have that sorted out. And I'm back from the parts store with more Gates parts. You can see the Gates part number. You can also see a Murray controls part number. I actually ordered the Murray. Got there, they handed me 2 Gates boxes that have the Murray sticker on them. So here's your part numbers. I ordered the Murray part numbers, right? And got the Gates. So I'm gonna get set up here, pull some pulleys, get these replaced, get the belt back on, be back on the road. I'm starting with my idler pulley, which in my case is a 14 mil socket. Which comes off very easily. The box actually states the bearing in this product is greased, sealed, therefore it does not require the dust cover that may be used on the original pulley. I'm not sure if my original pulley, if this is original, has a dust cover, unless this is it. So it says check for interference before using the original dust cover. So we'll try the new one on here, see how it looks. And if I were guessing, I would be guessing that the dust cover it's referring to is this centerpiece, which if you look, there's nothing as far as setting down in here and letting the bolt come through. So what I will do is pull the dust cover, check to see how the bolt will actually seat on here. It looks like I will actually seat on there on the center of the pulley section in decent fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt it back on here, grab my torque wrench, and this will get 35 foot-pounds. All right, that one was simple. Either pulley goes on really easily. So next question is, how does the tensioner pulley go on? And it looks like it has a big Torx bolt right behind the fan that may make it a little bit more of a challenge, but I'll go grab my Torx set and we'll see what we can do. So on mine, which is a 2005, the belt tensioner Torx fitting is a T40, and the one I have happens to be too long to fit on here with a ratchet. So to attempt to break this thing loose, I'm going to be slipping a 1/4 inch wrench over the socket or the Torx bit, setting it in and trying to break it loose with this, all without losing this back down in the fan shroud area for a second time. And that actually worked. So now with the tensioner off, you can actually see, I'm guessing what was the inner bearing race on this, with the few ball bearings still sitting in there. But yeah, I was very fortunate that I actually made it home with my belt still partially intact, keeping things going. So bolts coming out, new parts going on, we'll get it back together. New piece, had to fish the bolt out of the other one. It has a little O-ring in there that, well, I guess on the factory one actually retains the bolt, keeps it from slipping through. This one doesn't appear to do much of anything, but we'll get this back on the same way we took it off. And I do not have a 1/4 inch crow's foot. I can slip on that. So as far as tightening this up, it will be by hand for now, but 35 foot-pounds is probably a good amount of effort. With the wrench, it's about 6 inches long. And then I will order the replacement for my broken T40 that would actually fit this. All right, and with that, both the tensioner pulley and the idler pulley are replaced. Now it's time to get the belt back on. So belt routing on this, and a lot of older cars would require you to actually snake this thing over the fan in order to get it set up on the pulleys. This one, however, does not. What you do have to do is get it over the crank pulley, and then once it is over the crank pulley, it will snake itself around the water pump. Then we'll go back down under the AC compressor. So belt is around the crankshaft, back up over the fan and water pump, down, up under the AC compressor, up over the power steering. Then on the other side, it comes up around that tensioner we replaced, loops over the alternator, and then we are going to reverse the process here and release the tension on the belt and slip it under the idler. So drop the tension off, slip it back under our idler. Take another look, make sure everything looks like it's lined up on pulleys exactly before we fire it up. And it is in fact off on the AC compressor. Just a hair at the bottom, so we'll release the tension again here. All right, now we have it lined up. So back down the tensioner, double check everything. It looks like it needs to go back on the water pump just a hair to get everything in alignment before I start it up. In fact, you can actually see the wear line on the pulley. And now it looks good, so I'll start it up. Alright, so post startup, everything looks great. Everything appears to be lined up really well on the idler and the tensioner, which are both right on the back side of the belt. No squeals, no nothing. So like most cheap jobs that are simple, this one should have taken about 5-10 minutes. Ended up only taking maybe a couple hours with a few extra trips to the parts store and searching for varying sockets and Torx bits and such to use. But if you like this kind of content, reach down there, hit that like button, subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Stay tuned, there'll be more to come.